to 70% off. But then when NPS adds a sale on top of that, it's really time to stock up. Like bags and backpacks, perfect for back to school, an additional 50% off. And then, of course, how about the pants? 50% off, 40% off clothing, accessories, and so much more. It's all waiting for you at NPS. And of course, NPS has all the regular stuff too. Groceries, amazing things over in the industrial store. You're going to be really impressed at what you're going to find at NPS. When you find a great deal, don't pass it up. Buy it right then. You snooze, you lose. It's NPS with 3 locations.
If it's out of sight, it's out of mind. Even though that's an old adage, it's still very true today. And it's especially true of your old 401k. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, asking you to get that old 401k in sight and out of the company you no longer work for. But don't roll it into your new 401k. That could be one of the worst things you do. Of course that's easy. But when has the easiest way ever been the best way? Instead, call Trajan Wealth and learn about all of your options, including a way to earn an upfront bonus of up to 25% for your future income just for rolling it over. That's right. You could earn up to a 25% bonus for your retirement income just for rolling that 401k over with Trajan Wealth. Don't roll that 401k into your new company plan. Don't do it without calling Trajan Wealth first. Call 801-899-7600 or visit TrajanWealth.com.
Guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company.
Time again for a look at traffic and weather together, brought to you by Granite Credit Union's high-yield savings certificates. Let's go back over to Andy.
Well, Tim, I-15 looking better. We still have a little bit of slowing right around Bangor Highway. And those of you who are on 7200 South, that you're just now opening the ramp to North 15, so they're not going to force everybody over to 215 any longer. That'll help a little bit. We have some traffic still slow, SR 201 near 5600 West. And if you're trying to get between Heber and Park City, that drive through the roadwork zone along Highway 40 is really backed up again this morning, especially near the Deer Valley turnoff. Update your kitchen with Durden's Appliance, where they meet any competitor's price. Visit Durdens.com or on 5th South in Bountiful. Durden's, brands you know at prices you'll love. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
Temperatures will be in the low 90s through the rest of the week. Just a slight chance of rain as the weekend approaches, and that'll linger through Monday. And then warming up by midweek next week. We might see 95 on Wednesday. Right now, 77 degrees at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com, your all-day companion for news.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio. A presidential visit. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
Salt Lake City's VA Medical Center either is greeting now or will soon be greeting the President of the United States, who will be addressing the one-year anniversary of the PACT Act, which extends benefits to our veterans who served in wars where they were exposed to toxic chemicals.
Yeah, it was the toxic burn pits where they'd essentially build or dig a big hole, dump everything into it, and burn it with jet fuel. And not surprisingly, all that toxic chemicals has caused health issues for a lot of our veterans.
Moments ago, we got word of an extension of a filing deadline, and our Peter Johnston is standing by live. Our whole entire team is tracking the developments of the president's visit today, Peter, and you've got this angle for us. What do you know about those benefits and the extension?
Hey, Debbie. So this is a really interesting piece of news. So as of 4 days ago, the deadline of the signing or the deadline of the anniversary of the PACT Act passed. And up until that point, veterans were allowed to sign on, or at least give an intent to sign form that basically said all the benefits or coverage that they would have needed for those procedures to deal with injuries from these toxic burn pits would be covered retroactively. Now, that just passed, but the deadline's been moved to this Monday, the 14th at midnight Eastern time. And so what that means is that veterans can fill out an intent to sign form. And if they do that, they will have a full year beyond that to actually get retroactive coverage for those benefits for the past year.
Peter Johnston, KSL News Radio, tracking that latest development as the president gets ready to mark the one-year anniversary of the PACT Act. Thank you so much for joining us. To be clear, there was that deadline. It was yesterday for veterans to jump online through the VA.gov website, apply for backdated benefits for any disability they may have suffered as a result of their exposure to toxins. The VA has extended or announced an extension of that deadline. It'll be now Monday at midnight.
Yeah, my understanding of this, Debbie, was say that you had been treated for some sort of cancer that is now covered under the PACT Act. Well, you would be retroactively covered by some of those costs, or maybe even all of those costs.
Of course, there's a very political angle, of course, to the president's visit. We're going to get to the political side of things. I want to stick with the human side of this story for just a moment, and that is his address to veterans today at the VA Medical Center. Braden Wayment served 2 years in Iraq, 2 years in Afghanistan. You left military service 10 years ago. You've joined us many times about what you went through and others went through and the exposure to toxins while serving our country. This extension is really big news.
Yeah, I've been following the deadline pretty closely, and a lot of the complaints were like, I'm calling, I've been on hold for hours, or there's error messages. And one of the people, in my opinion, who I've been following really closely is Senator John Tester from Montana. He's really been spearheading this effort. And it looks like he called out the VA the day before the deadline and was like, this is unacceptable. There's hundreds of people that are trying to file, and they're getting error messages. So when I saw that it has been extended to the 14th with your intent to file, that's really good news.
Braden, I always thought the deadline was interesting and coinciding with the president's visit. I thought, well, here the president will come, a lot of news and will be made about, and a lot of people will learn about the PACT Act, what it means and how it could affect them. But the fact that the deadline had already passed by the time the president spoke, I always thought that was very peculiar.
Yeah, it was a little odd. I went up to the VA yesterday, actually, to get my stuff done before today, and I was hoping that, he can walk the halls and suggest some improvements and stuff, because the VA definitely needs help. But the PACT Act is a good step in the right direction.
Braden, I know you're going to be, and I hope you're going to be able to listen to the president's speech right alongside us and our listeners as we take our listeners there live when he starts to speak at the VA Medical Center. But just before we let you go, as a veteran who obviously served our country in multiple wars, your thoughts on the president's visit today to Utah?
So we live in a red state. A Republican is most likely going to win the nomination. And so with that being said, I think it's extremely important. I'm very happy that he's here. No matter who you voted for, he seems to have a vested interest in this. And it shows a lot to us. The people that are there right now that need care, when the president's coming, it shows that he's caring about the issue. And I'm very happy to see that.
Braden, you referenced, I wish he would walk the halls of the VA. Well, what did you mean by that?
So it kind of seems like the inside of the hospital was built in the 1950s, and it kind of looks like it's still in the 1950s. The care is awesome. The doctors are amazing. But aesthetically, it could use some upgrades, and hopefully President Biden sees that and recommends some kind of better scenery inside, maybe.
Okay. And it needs a little refresh from the 1950s. I get that.
Yeah, let's bump it forward a few decades. And
at least get it to the 90s, right?
Yeah. I can show you guys if you ever want to do a tour.
Braden Wayment, we appreciate it. Keep your ear close when the president begins to speak. We'll, of course, take that live, take our listeners, at least virtually, up to Salt Lake's VA hospital. I was just looking at when doing a little research on when the medical center was built and trying to figure that out. It looks like it opened in 1952. It opened in 1952. Now, maybe they have some newer buildings. But President Biden, on his way, or at least perhaps close to arriving at the VA Medical Center, we're going to take you there live right now. Both KSL News Radio's Lindsay Aerts, Adam Small standing by. They're going to give us an update on what's going on there at the VA Medical Center as they await the president's arrival.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Hi, it's Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
Why should you start your day with us?
We have decades of news experience between us.
And we take your trust seriously.
Come here for news tomorrow, 5 to 9.
On KSL.
Sometimes it's the news.
A wildfire is still burning 11 miles southeast of Beaver.
Other times, the traffic and weather.
Slowdowns in several spots on I-15.
There have been some impressive thunderstorms around the state.
And most of the time, it's both.
The first ever pill to treat severe postpartum depression just got FDA approval.
Delays continue in Parley's Canyon westbound I-80.
Get everything you need. News, traffic, and weather in one place. Mornings and afternoons on KSL News Radio. Your all-day companion for news.
Do you know why more homeowners choose Any Hour Services for help when it's time to replace their air conditioners? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and the main reasons people choose Any Hour Services is because of our people, processes, and convenience. People tell us all the time that there's just something different about having an Any Hour Services technician in their home. That's why most of our over 18,000 Google reviews mention our technicians by name. Another reason is our 7-step install process that we call the Any Hour Difference. It all starts with a needs analysis where you explain what you like and dislike about your current system. This helps us design and size a system that fits your comfort and efficiency preferences as well as your home's airflow requirements. As for convenience, most of our installs are completed in one day. We also have flexible, no money down financing options available, even if you've been told no in the past. So if you've been thinking about getting a new air conditioner, call Any Hour Services and schedule a free estimate today. Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Smart, connected, modern. Discover life-enhancing independent living services at Trio Orem. Joy isn't just for the young, it's for the young at heart. Trio's signature programs provide a unique approach to wellness, bringing living well and well-being to life. Trio is reimagining retirement to deliver delight in every detail. To learn more, contact Trio Orem at 801-434-8000 or visit treoorem.com.
Save big on our Hot August night sale at Hot Tub Factory Outlet and Backyards of America. It's back by popular demand. Huge savings on our Sundance 880 Optima Limited. Don't snooze or you will lose, saving big money. Get the lowest price ever, $10,500. That's right, just $10,500 MSRP and while supplies last. It's time to relax and feel the healing powers of a spa. Enjoy the outdoors with your very own hot tub or swim spa from Hot Tub Factory Outlet and Backyards of America. Come check out the biggest swim spa supercenter in the state with 8 in-stock models that can be delivered immediately. It might just be time to own your very own swim spa. Have you ever wanted a swimming pool but have realized it's out of the question? Not anymore. We're making room for our next shipment, so we're pricing our spas to move while supplies last. Check out our showroom for styles, colors, and sizes. 2 locations, Draper next to Cowabunga Bay and Backyards of America in Sandy.
You've been following my soda weight loss journey for almost 20 months now. I lost 37 pounds in the first 12 weeks. Amazing, feel different, look different, able to act different. And all of it came through just the power and simplicity of SOTA. SOTA stands for state-of-the-art weight loss because it is. You've got that weekly one-on-one coaching that I love to talk about, that accountability piece. And not just accountability, but insight. When you have a question, you're not sure, you're hesitating, you just text, you just call. You have access to your own nutritionist to keep you right on pace and keep everything going. It's also a whole 100% 360-degree look at how you approach nutrition. Getting your body the right energy, the right nutrients at the right time does make all the difference, and it's part of what makes SOTA so successful, not just for me, but for countless other people. As I said, I'm 20 months down the road, right on path, right where I've been for almost 20 months now. Same thing can happen for you. As I always say, when it comes to your SOTA weight loss journey, there's no time to lose. There's only time to win, so get winning. Start with SOTA weight loss today. Check it out at SOTAweightloss.com, SOTAweightloss.com.
This is the year to go see Utah Symphony and Utah Opera. All shows have just gone on sale at the best prices you'll see this year. Get tickets for your favorites at usuo.org.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Tim Hughes. First, President Joe Biden is here in Utah, set to speak at the Salt Lake City VA hospital this morning. Second, friends and relatives of the man killed in a Provo FBI raid are coming to terms with what happened now that federal court documents are showing extremist and violent posts shared by Craig Robertson. And third, the deadly wildfires in Maui have left thousands stranded and 36 people dead. We'll look for a high today of 91 degrees, and right now in Salt Lake City, it's 77. Let's get you back to David Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
A presidential visit. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
We're going to take you live to Salt Lake City's VA Medical Center. We have a number of KSL News Radio colleagues standing by live there as they prepare to carry live and listen to the president's speech today about the PACT Act, which is the act that was signed into law a year ago, extended benefits for diseases that are now presumed to have been, contracted or started because of their exposure to toxic chemicals all the way back to Vietnam. So this includes like post 9/11 wars and also those who were exposed to Agent Orange in the Vietnam War.
Yeah, Deb, and you mentioned a list yesterday, and it was so many cancers, so many lung diseases that these veterans that they've tied to these toxic burn pits. Having a president come speak to this specifically, it doesn't happen all the time, but it's since the 1900s, only one president has never visited Utah. I think it was Woodrow Wilson, but everyone else has made at least a stop.
Adam Small, are you seeing the president yet? Any signs of his arrival?
Not quite yet, Deb. So we're in this room where the president's going to be speaking. There's a huge podium up. You've got signs up saying supporting our veterans and the PACT Act, and this huge banner behind the podium where the president's going to speak. You've got all these different flags up. You've got people just starting to take their seats. The media, we're now just slowly been able to make our way through security, getting our final equipment checks done and everything. But in terms of the president's motorcade, we have not quite seen that just yet. We're hoping to see him soon, though.
Do we know when he is expected to speak?
We are still working to see when that is going to happen, because basically all we were told as the media was like, hey, you got to, line is going to open up potentially at 8:30. Didn't end up opening until 9, so we can even get checked in. In terms of when the president's going to start to speak, we're really just hoping it's sooner rather than later, because again, we've got a lot of anxious people waiting to hear him speak today.
Adam, in a moment, we're going to talk to KSL News Radio's Lindsay Aerts. I know you guys are there together about the political story that is developing in light of the president's visit. Just want to continue one moment to focus on the human side of this story, which is that PACT Act that has impacted so many Utah veterans. We just reported that the federal government has extended the deadline to file for backdated benefits until this coming Monday. It had been Wednesday of this week, but there were some problems with the website, lots of people getting on it, and apparently it looked as though it was crashing. They were getting error messages. I'm wondering if are there going to be any veterans in the room today to listen to the president speak?
I would be shocked if there weren't. I've seen a ton of people here flow in with VA badges. We also see some people that don't. I'm sure there are some veteran ties here. I mean, it's a big deal. This affects a lot of people. It was a bipartisan effort, the PACT Act, getting people these extended benefits that were overseas, exposed to burn pits, all these things we've been talking about. And from the people that I've seen here, I can guarantee there are at least people here associated with the VA, if not just some everyday veterans that have been invited to come in and listen to the president talk about this big thing that affects them.
KSL News Radio's Adam Small. Thank you.
I want to flip the phone line now over to KSL News Radio's political reporter, Lindsay Aerts, who's also live at the VA hospital. Linz, you get stuck with the political side of this story today. Who's going to be there today in terms of Utah's political figures? Do we have Linz?
No Lindsay yet.
Hi, guys. Yeah, I am here. Sorry, I muted myself because there's a lot of background noise in this room right now. But to your question, I have seen the governor's staff here. I've not seen the governor himself, but his director of communications and some people under her are here in the room today. So I imagine that a lot of Utah elected officials will be here. I've seen a few others state Democratic representative Carol Stackman-Moss is here, as is Senator Kathleen Reeby. Kathleen Reeby is running for Senate in the Special Congressional District 2 election. I can see Representative Sandra Harris, I believe, is here. And so just a lot of Utah elected officials who have been invited, who will likely show up today. But lots of people are still making their way through security. I was one of the first people to get through security. So as I see more people walk in, I can certainly report more people who are here. But yeah, right now it's just some people getting here early, wanting to make sure they get through security first. And that includes a lot of Utah elected officials.
You mentioned the governor. How about any of our congressional delegation, representatives or senators?
No, I have not seen any of our congressional delegation. But to be fair, I've only seen local state lawmakers here and then the governor's people. So I haven't seen kind of that federal level or, the state leaders. Certainly state lawmakers are here, but I don't know if perhaps they're, and this is pure speculation, meeting somewhere, perhaps meeting the president, or doing something more official, and maybe they'll filter into this room. There are a number of seats that are reserved just for particular people. You got to have a special wristband to sit in them. So the rest of the crowd is probably just invited guests, and certainly some of our local leaders and their staff as well. But I certainly will report anyone of note who comes here.
Lindsay, stand by for us. I want to, earlier today during Utah's Morning News, Mayor Erin Mendenhall called and spoke to Tim and Amanda about her greeting with the president at the base of Air Force One yesterday afternoon and what they talked about. So let's be a fly on the wall thanks to Mayor Mendenhall's call this morning to KSL News Radio.
It was really generous and unexpected that on such a hot day with the noisy tarmac, he would stand there and talk to us for 5 or 6 minutes. But he talked about bipartisanship. Excuse me. He talked about his time as a young congressman many decades ago and learning from Republicans as he learned from Democrats and building relationships that ended up, positively affecting his ability to get things done as a congressperson for so long. And I think standing there with Governor Cox, First Lady Abby Cox, and 2 Democrat mayors with Mayor Wilson and myself, he knew his audience. He's met, I think, each of us before. And it was a really special moment to learn from the president about collaboration.
And in fact, Lindsay, what surprised me as I was listening to Jeff Kaplan and Amy Kobabe and their analysis of what was happening in the moment yesterday afternoon is that after he spoke with Mayor Mendenhall and Mayor Wilson, Governor Cox then appeared to load into the limousine with the president and go for a ride. And thankfully, he's going to be joining our show later today in the 11 o'clock hour after the speech. And so, of course, the first question is, hint, hint, Governor, if you're listening, is what was said in the limo ride?
Yeah, certainly don't you want to be a fly on the wall in that conversation. And in fact, I was at a spot in downtown Salt Lake City where I could see the motorcade come by, and I could see in the window where Governor Cox and the president were in that motorcade. And so, yes, I would absolutely like to know what that conversation was like. But I don't know whether that event was planned or not. When I spoke with the governor's team yesterday, I asked whether the president and the governor would be meeting privately. His press people told me it was unclear. So it's possible that the president was just like, hey, Governor, jump in the car. We've got some things to discuss. We'll get you to the right place once we drop you off. But again, I don't know that. I don't know whether that was planned, whether that was intentional for him to get those 15 minutes, the ride into downtown Salt Lake City to be able to get the ear of the president for a minute, if it was just something the president extended to him. But certainly it was interesting to watch the governor, jump in the car with the president.
Yeah, there's few places more private than the presidential motorcade. What a surprise showing. And Lindsay Ertz.
Well, before we let you go, Linz, Adam wasn't quite clear. Maybe you've gotten new information in the time we've been talking. Do you know yet when the president will be speaking?
No, I don't yet. It's just not something they're telling us.
Okay.
I can work to get a little bit more information, but right now everyone's just kind of in a holding pattern.
Well, I know both of you will let our team here at Broadcast House know the moment you see any sign of the president there at the VA hospital. Lindsay Ertz, Adam Small, part of our team up there at the VA Medical Center on the east side of Salt Lake City. And just getting word to our question earlier about whether veterans will be in attendance today, Scott Howell, who has helped orchestrate and organize the president's visit here. He's spoken to us here at KSL News Radio several times. Texted me, Dave, said, yes, there will be many veterans, Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan. Those who served in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Vietnam will be in attendance at the president's speech today, which could happen any moment now. We will take you there live the moment it happens.
Time now is 9:30. I'm Tim Hughes with a look at some of our top stories this half hour. Crowds will be thick near the U of U and the VA, specifically today with the president's visit. The Salt Lake City VA says the visit will not impact veteran care and all campus gates and parking garages will be open. But they say to expect street closures that is, on campus, so patients should leave a few extra minutes to get to the hospital. A man was shot and killed in Provo yesterday during an FBI raid. Federal court documents show that Craig Robertson made online threats against the president ahead of his visit, as well as Biden's family and California Governor Gavin Newsom. ABC News crime and terrorism analyst Brad Garrett tells us FBI agents need to be ready for anything during a raid like this.
When you go to a house like that, you tend to take firepower with you because you don't know what you're going to run into. My guess is they probably have the SWAT team with them. But the point being, they get into the house or at some point in or around the house, I'm going to guess inside. He probably, and I don't know this as a guess, pulled up a weapon or attempted to shoot one of them, and they killed him.
Garrett says a raid like this has nothing to do with politics. It has to do with violence, since he reportedly threatened the agents themselves during the raid. The Dixie Sugarloaf is now officially on the National Register of Historic Places. The Sugarloaf is a Red Rock landmark in St. George with the word Dixie painted on its side, and local leaders have pushed for its national recognition since at least 2021. Nearby Dixie State University has since changed its name over claims it was tied to Southern slavery. Let's take a look at your money at this moment. The markets have been looking pretty good this morning, although we've lost a little bit of steam now. Everything was up over a full percentage point. The Dow's still up 0.75% with a gain of 257. The S&P is up 31, and the Nasdaq is up this hour by 100. Coming up, temperatures in the 90s for as far as the eye can see. We'll check your full forecast next. KSL News Time, 9:32.
Early mornings can be hard enough, just getting yourself going.
We try to make it a little easier with news and weather from comfortable, trusted anchors and reporters.
Join us on Utah's Morning News between 5 and 9
on KSL News Radio. I guess it's human nature, Amanda, that no matter how much money we have in our savings account, it never seems like it's enough. And if you find yourself in that mode right now, let us direct you over to our friends at UCCU. They are wanting to help you supercharge your savings.
UCCU is offering high-rate savings options with yields up to 5.5%. All you do is go to UCCU.com and select a high-rate savings option to do just what you said, supercharge your savings.
You're going to get a much bigger return on your savings right now. It's a savings certificate, which means you make one deposit up front and your money grows over a fixed period of time. So you can have that grow over 5 years, but UCCU has created some very short-term savings certificates with high yields, short like 6 months, 9 months, or a year.
So you decide how long do you want to put that money. You deposit money, a one-time only deposit, and then you let it stay in. The longer it stays in there, the higher the interest rate you earn.
And if you need immediate access to your money, UCCU's Money Market will give you a high yield and anytime access.
UCCU, you're going to love where you bank.
Hey, summer's here, and it's only getting hotter. Get 0 down, 0 interest, and 0 payments for a year on a new day and night air conditioning system.
Don't put it off. Summer is here, and it's hot. Have a new day and night air conditioner and furnace system installed with 0 down, 0 interest, and 0 payments for 12 months. Enjoy savings and a cool, comfortable home for a full year before you even have to make a payment. Go to dayandnightcomfort.com for a day and night elite dealer near you. The difference is day and night.
Here's Jake Harwood of Harwood Farms.
I'm Jake, and I grow corn. Jake, folks are saying that it seems like your stand's open later than usual this year.
We don't open till our locally grown fresh corn is ready, and that's usually mid-July. This year, we actually opened right on schedule.
Has Utah's extra wet winter and spring helped?
Absolutely. Our reservoirs are brimming full, and we're already enjoying a bounteous harvest. Stop by today for now in season tomatoes, raspberries, peaches, cantaloupe, watermelon, and more. Fresh from our family's farm to your family's dinner table.
Harwood Farms.
Time again for a look at traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Granite Credit Union's high-yield savings certificates. How's it looking out there, Heather?
It's looking pretty good. The earlier crash we had on the collector ramp from northbound I-15 to 7200 south has cleared, so there are no delays in that area. And it looks like all the delays we had near downtown Salt Lake as the presidential motorcade was moving have eased out as well. So you're going to have a pretty good drive right now. Questions Worth Exploring is a new speaker series event designed for today's concerns and faith-centered conversations. Learn from thoughtful voices about gospel questions. Join them August 25th. Get tickets at DeseretBookPresents.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
This week, we'll have some pretty consistent temperatures in the low 90s. This weekend, we'll see just a slight chance of rain that'll carry on through probably Monday. Overnight lows will settle into the 70s and right where we were last night, too. So a high today of 91, right now 79 in Salt Lake City at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com, your all-day companion for news.
A presidential visit. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
President speaking this morning at the VA Medical Center. And we don't exactly know a time yet, but we do know the media is standing by, ready to take a speech live. Our colleagues from KSL News Radio standing by as well. And we also know that there will be a number of veterans in the room as he delivers his speech on the one-year anniversary of the PACT Act.
Unsurprisingly, Debbie, things are already behind. They were supposed to start checking in media at 8:30. That didn't happen until 9 o'clock. Boyd Matheson joins us right now. And Boyd, you were just mentioning, whenever there's a trickle-down effect, as soon as something starts getting delayed, there's cascading effect.
Yeah, the ripple effect, and every minute you lose about 20. So that is just a challenge of staffing this kind of visit from a president of the United States. There's so many moving parts, so many players, that any little trickle just turns into a kind of a cascade there. So, but I'm sure they'll get him sorted out, and they'll get him in the room, and he'll deliver the speech.
And as soon as he starts speaking, we are going to take our listeners there live. Thought there was an important and a very poignant moment last night, late yesterday afternoon, when the president's plane touched down. And to greet him there stood Governor Cox, First Lady Abby Cox, also Salt Lake City Mayor Aaron Mendenhall, and Salt Lake County Mayor Jenny Wilson, who told KSL 5 Television that President Biden talked about the importance of bipartisanship. We also heard that same message when Mayor Mendenhall called Utah's Morning News this morning. But here's Mayor Wilson on KSL TV.
He recognized that there were blue mayors and a red governor standing together. And I think what he wanted to convey to us is how important bipartisanship is.
Blue mayors and red governors. That's a fun way to describe it.
It's a good thing. And I actually thought that was a really powerful moment. Watching it live with our friends over on KSL TV side, one, it was striking to me. So one, this is Joe Biden at his best. He is so good in those situations. And sometimes, again, the politics gets everything sideways. But this is one of those moments you put the politics aside. And the fact that they stood there on the tarmac for so long. Normally, that is a grip, a grin, a joke, and an into the motorcade moment. And you could tell the bristling of the Secret Service people were saying, we are standing on the tarmac. We are standing on the tarmac. And they wanted them to definitely move along. But they were clearly having a bipartisan moment. And having a real conversation. And so I think what the mayor shared, I think, is important, that, hey, he just acknowledged the fact that, yeah, we can have our challenges, red and blue, fine, but we can all come together around the things that actually matter.
There's few things in this world that the Secret Service hates more than wide open spaces, is what I'm hearing.
Exactly. Head on a swivel, and those guys, again, that is a tough job. And when the president takes his time, their job becomes tougher. And so that was kind of an interesting thing to watch play out yesterday.
The three of us here at Broadcast House, and of course our team of reporters and producers standing by to get the signal from our team up at the VA Medical Center here in Salt Lake City. The moment the president is spotted, we will be taking our listeners back there live. We heard an update from Adam Small and also from Lindsay Aerts, both of them reporting for us live up there, Boyd. And one of the things that is noted is that there will be a number of veterans. My understanding is from Vietnam and from Iraq and from Afghanistan in the room today. I think it is just a very pointed moment that Vietnam veterans have been invited to this as well. Yeah. And the PACT Act also helps cover their any disabilities they've suffered as a result of their exposure to toxins such as Agent Orange when they were serving in the war.
Yeah, so important. And again, this goes back to the very simple premise. You can argue dollars and cents and spending and all of the nuances and things that get thrown into bills. But when it comes to our brave women and brave men, we give them very clear objectives when we're sending them into harm's way. We provide them all the resources they need to be effective to accomplish the mission, and then we keep our promises to them when they come home, and we keep the promises to their families when they don't. And so that, to me, is the essence of this. You can debate a lot of the other components to it, but the essence of this is keeping promises. And this is one I expect to hear a different kind of speech, and I hope this is where the president goes today. He obviously has a very personal connection. His son passed away from brain cancer, was a veteran. So it's very personal. It's a very human moment, and I think the president should lean into that and have that conversation. Again, I think that's one of his strengths as commander-in-chief, and I hope he goes there. I hope he avoids some of the politics and the campaign components of things that they're trying to push in terms of accomplishments, and I hope he centers the focus and the essence of this message on the veterans, because it is about keeping promises.
But it is also very difficult because this past last year, this is something that has been worked on for years and years. And I remember when comedian Jon Stewart stood on the steps of the Capitol and was infuriated because this piece of legislation had paused again. And this is what Jon Stewart had to say.
I don't even know, honestly, I don't even know what to say. I've been coming down here 10, 15 years. I'm used to the hypocrisy. I'm used to the lies. I'm used to the cowardice. I'm used to all of it. But I am not used to the cruelty.
You said they've been working on this piece of legislation for a long time.
Yeah, I remember when Jon Stewart first became involved in that. I was chief of staff. He was wandering around the Capitol, and I brought him into the Senate office and said,
he's so passionate about it.
He is so passionate about it, and so I sat down with him
really?
in the Senate office and listened. And at that stage, it was very early. They were just kind of crafting what it could be, what it should be. Very, very early days, and of course, it's taken a decade to get this thing done. And again, a lot of unnecessary things from both the left and the right in terms of how this is played out, all the while keeping our veterans and their families in that space of uncertainty.
And one of the critical things the PACT Act does for our veterans is it takes away prove it. Prove the connection, your brain cancer, your kidney cancer, your pancreatic, your reproductive organ cancer.
Your asthma.
Your asthma, your pulmonary diseases are linked to the burn pit that we forced you to stand by with all those toxic, and you pointed out some of the things a couple of days ago, Dave, that were thrown into those open burn pits during, post 9/11 wars, things like tires and chemicals and plastics and other toxins. And just imagine that kind of burn pit, like burning the landfill down the street from your house. And then we all are forced to stand right there or sleep right in that area and inhale those fumes and those toxins, that smoke constantly. And then forcing our veterans to prove that the cancers that they have been diagnosed with are connected to that.
Yeah.
And that takes away that component. It gives them benefits in some cases. It has increased their disability benefits.
Right.
And now, Boyd, you've probably heard, like we did earlier, the development in this is they've extended the deadline for our veterans to Monday.
Yes.
Monday at midnight to file for backdated benefits.
Yes.
That's an important development this morning.
Yeah, it is. And can I just give the number,
You
Deb,
bet.
for our veterans, because I think this is so important. It's 800-827-1000. So 800-827-1000. So they don't have to do anything today other than just call the number and say they have an intent to file. And if they have an intent to file, then they can do it all as it goes along. They don't have to go anywhere. They don't have to prove anything. They don't have to have any documentation of anything. They just have to say, I'm calling with an intent to file. They'll get on record there, and that's all that has to be done. So super, super simple. So anyone who is a veteran in that space or knows someone, this is great that they've extended this a few extra days so everybody has that opportunity.
801-827-1000.
Correct.
I like that you gave the phone number. I have been giving out the website. I think the website, obviously, that you can go to va.gov. Yeah. A lot of information there also has a list of the diseases. Yeah. But in many cases, they may not, maybe they don't have access to a computer to do that, or they don't have the.
Yeah, just pick up the phone and make the call.
It's like sometimes you get online and the thing gives you the, the
spinning wheel.
The spinning wheel and all that other crazy stuff. So just call the number.
Debbie, you say that kind of jokingly. I literally just typed in va.gov/pact, and guess what I'm getting?
Error.
Spinning wheel.
It happened to me earlier this week, too, as I was posting information to social media about it. Very important information to pass along to your loved ones who served in a war, who maybe or fear that somehow a medical ailment that they're suffering from is connected to their service. They have until Monday now. And fingers crossed, if that spinny wheel keeps happening and we keep getting that error message, maybe they'll extend it even more. We don't know that at this point. Boyd, thank you. Stand by. We know you will. We're waiting for the president to speak maybe any moment now. Do you have an insight on the time?
It's soon.
Well, as soon as it soon hits, we'll take you there soon.
Have you ever noticed that when the afternoon light hits your floors, you can see everything, including dust?
So much dust.
And that floor dust gets kicked up into the air, compromising the quality of air you and your family breathe.
Eesh.
Swiffer Heavy Duty Sweeper is the fast and easy way to clean your floors with ultra-thick pads that trap and lock dust before it gets in the air. Just a couple minutes a day.
And dust is gone.
Swiffer Heavy Duty Sweeper. Proud partner of the American Lung Association.
This could be the start of a break-in.
Stop. This is Simply Safe.
Or the end of one.
Police are on their way.
Introducing the latest innovation in home security. 24/7 LiveGuard protection, only from Simply Safe. Now, agents can see and speak to intruders through our new indoor camera to help stop crime in real time and for fast police response. Get 20% off any new system with Fast Protect monitoring at simplysafe.com/radio. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. We're here in the dog days of summer. Yes, the month of August. And to get that perfect steak, you don't have to be out there in the hot weather. You don't have to be slaving over that barbecue. All you have to do is get into Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, and they do all the work for you. They do all of the prep. They do all of the grilling. They do all of the cleanup. And you are going to have the best steak you have ever had at either location, 275 Southwest Temple, right in the heart of downtown Salt Lake City. A lot of people, of course, like to combine the Ruth's Chris experience with something going on downtown, maybe a concert, just a simple movie. And then there's Hotel Park City. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, if you're going to be up in Summit County, going for a hike, just getting away, going to the outlet stores. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, Hotel Park City. The best steak you have ever had is waiting for you right there at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse.
Hunting season is right around the corner, and Sportsman's Warehouse has everything you need for the best hunt ever. Right now, you'll find great low prices on rifles, shotguns, bows, arrows, and ammo. Save 20 to 30% on camo from Element, Killick, King's Camo, and Rustic Ridge. Plus, save up to $200 on scopes and optics from Sig Sauer, Leupold, and Vortex. And you can register to win an elk hunt of a lifetime. So gear up for unforgettable and bring on the hunt at Sportsman's Warehouse.
When words come out of our mouths and everything sounds fine, no one bats an eye. But if things come out a little jumbled or letters sound different than most, there's speech therapy. But did you know that speech therapy is used for more than just stuttering or disfluency? From articulation to expressive and receptive language to a simple act of swallowing that most of us take for granted, speech therapy can do amazing things for you, your health, and of course your sense of self. That's why Summit Speech Therapy is here. Summit Speech Therapy works with people of all ages, from infants and toddlers who have a difficult time feeding or eating, TBI, stroke, or coma patients, to children and adults with speech problems. So much of it is all related, and Summit Speech Therapy can help. Summit works with all insurance companies as well as private pay options, and the experience can be life-changing. With clinics up and down the Wasatch Front, including Murray, with no long waiting for an appointment. For more, visit summitslp.com. That's summitslp.com.
At Shane Company, we believe everybody is made to shine. It doesn't matter who you are or where you're from. Your moments, your milestones, your love story all deserve to shine bright. You don't need an occasion. You and your life are the event. So put on earrings that make you sparkle, diamonds that light up the room, an heirloom you'll treasure for years to come. We're all made to shine. Shane Company, fine jewelry since 1929.
Prices are slashed on Bernina sewing machines. Hot deals from Dave's Bernina in Provo and St. George. There's not enough time to tell you about all the great deals. Don't miss this 3-day event at Dave's Bernina.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Tim Hughes. First, President Joe Biden is in Utah in celebration of the 1-year anniversary of the PACT Act. Second, fire continues to rage in Maui, leaving wakes of destruction and thousands stranded and 36 people dead. And third, Davis School District, has settled a lawsuit with multiple black families that claim they were disciplined for reporting incidents of racism. Going to shoot for a high today of 91 degrees, and right now in Salt Lake City, it is 79. Let's get you back now to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
While we await the president's speech at the VA Medical Center, let's talk about the Provo man who was killed just hours before the president's arrival. To the FBI, this guy was threatening to assassinate the president, the vice president, to hang AG Merrick Garland. And just days before the president arrives in Utah, he makes yet another threat on social media, and he made a series of them on social media. I hear I hear Biden is coming to Utah, digging out my old ghillie suit and cleaning the dust off the M24 sniper rifle. Welcome, buffoon in chief. And Dave, of course, after the shooting yesterday, we had a number of reporters out in the Provo neighborhood and talking to neighbors about what they knew about this guy and what they'd seen.
I actually felt bad for him because he was nice to me. He was friends with my dad. But it just goes to show you never know who your neighbors are. Like, you just don't know who you're living next to.
You truly don't, because you can be somebody out in the community, in your neighborhood, and then for some reason you get behind that computer and you have the keyboard in front of you and you just can't help yourself. And the anger and the vitriol and maybe your true feelings of who you really are pouring out into the computer. And Debbie, as we are reading through some of his social media posts, they're scary. Yeah. They're specific.
And we now have better insight as to how this transpired. Greg Skordas, KSL legal analyst, always appreciate you joining the show. I just want to let our listeners know that in late March, the FBI catches wind through their National Threat Assessment Center from a social media company that had flagged this individual's social media posts. And it actually starts with threats to the New York District Attorney, Alvin Bragg, who was at the time investigating former President Donald Trump. And he says something to the effect on social media that he's heading to New York to fulfill his dream of eradicating Bragg, and that he'll be waiting at the courthouse in the parking lot to put a nice hole in his forehead with his 9mm. So it starts there, but the FBI actually goes out to his house, surveils him for several hours, according to the court records, and talks to him And he basically says, get off my lawn and don't come back until you've got a warrant.
And Debbie, in one of the social media posts, it says, "To my friends in the Federal Bureau of Idiots, I know you're reading this, and you have no idea how close your agents came to violent eradication."
So he has a heads up that the Bureau is concerned about his behaviors and his posts on social media, and then he continues to post, and until just days before the president arrives, he's posting, threatening to not only kill agents but also to kill the president. It's your turn, Greg. Sorry.
Oh. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sort of attending court and doing this at the same time. I'll get out of court here for a second. A lot of people have talked about this in terms of speech. Does he have the right to say things? Is this just him exercising his right? And why did the FBI have to do what they did? But these are, as you guys have just described, some pretty specific violent threats. They go well beyond First Amendment issues, and the FBI has no choice, especially because of things that he's done and things that he said about them, but to further investigate him. They went to the court. They received and obtained not just an arrest warrant for his arrest for making these threats, but a search warrant to search his house. And when they arrived, they announced their presence. According to all the neighbors that were there, this is the FBI. Step outside with your hands up. He obviously did nothing of the sort. There was gunfire, and it seems like the FBI agents had to return their own. And it's tragic what happened. It's just awful. But I can't blame the FBI for the way they handled this at all.
Greg, specifically making threats against a person is one thing, but it's different. Am I correct when you're threatening the President of the United States?
Yes, that's a federal crime, and the FBI takes that very seriously, as they should. We've had assassinations in my lifetime, and they're just awful. There's nothing worse, and there's nothing more upsetting to the country. The same would be true, Dave, if he made credible threats against the governor. Political figures, public figures, that type of thing have a little bit greater protection under the law in terms of threats. Threats against police officers and certain things have different levels of severity. And, of course, the President of the United States, it doesn't get any more severe than that.
We're speaking to Greg Skordas, KSL legal analyst, as we await the president's speech up at the VA Medical Center. He'll be with veterans and he'll be with political figures here in Utah to mark the one-year anniversary of what's called the PACT Act. And as the president is set to arrive late yesterday afternoon, Greg, I look at the timeline of when the FBI went to his home yesterday with this complaint that had been filed in the courts, likely to make an arrest. They end up in a apparent, what we believe is a shooting. The man dies. But they really have no choice at that point to go to his house yesterday morning because the president is arriving, and he hasn't stopped making these very, very direct threats, threatening to assassinate the president, assassinate at some point Kamala Harris, assassinate the Attorney General of the United States. So yesterday is the FBI is kind of up against the wall. The president's arriving, and this guy's threatening to get his sniper rifle ready.
Right. And you know as well as anyone, Debbie, having worked with the FBI as closely as you did, that they don't have a choice. They just sit back and do nothing, and suddenly he shows up at the airport there with a firearm. Then everyone looks foolish. They have to at least investigate. They have to at least
they got to take. They have to take him into. At this point, they've got to, based on the threats, they've got to take him into federal custody. In my view, make the arrest, and then obviously formally charge him, indict him, whatever they need to do to get him before a judge, because he is not only saying that he's going to kill the president of the United States, that he's willing to fly across the country to kill whoever he disagrees with.
Right. Yeah, many others, including, like you said, the district attorney in Manhattan that indicted former President Trump on the hush money case. He's and Merrick Garland, our own currently standing United States attorney. He's just I mean, he's not holding up anything. He's not holding back anything at all. He's just, I don't know. It's awful. And his threats just don't stop. Even after he's warned and told, please, 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 he just continues to make these threats.
Greg Skordas, KSL legal analyst. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. Disturbing case. I know the neighbors were quite disturbed, obviously, what was going on. It happened very early yesterday morning. We got word of it here and its connection to the president later in the morning. But as the neighbor we spoke to out on the scene said, you never really know who your neighbor is.
I actually felt bad for him because he was nice to me. He was friends with my dad. But it just goes to show you never know who your neighbors are. Like, you just don't know who you're living next to.
Big coverage straight ahead in the 10 o'clock hour. We don't know yet when the president will begin his speech. We have at 11:15 this morning at the VA Medical Center. Just getting word that it'll happen in the 11 o'clock hour. So, Dave, you wanted to look into more about the PACT Act in the 10 o'clock hour.
Yeah, in part because both Senators Romney and Lee voted against it, one of only 11 senators to do so.
KSL FM Midvale, KSL Salt Lake City. Listen on the KSL News Radio app and in your car at 102.7 FM. KSL News Radio, your all-day companion for news.
It's 10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour. We have breaking news about the PACT Act, the federal law that President Biden is planning to talk about during his visit to Utah today. It provides care for service members exposed to toxic burn pits. The Veterans Agency has now extended the deadline to apply for PACT benefits by a week. Affected veterans now have until Monday, August 14th to get into that program. President expected to speak about 11:15 this morning. Friends and relatives of the man killed in an FBI raid yesterday in Provo still processing what happened. Craig Robertson was killed when agents swarmed his house. Federal court documents show he had been threatening President Biden ahead of his visit to Utah. Retired FBI Supervisory Special Agent Carl Schmay tells KSL-TV that Robertson's social media threats were legitimate concerns.
This is what kept me up at night when I was a supervisor, is we're looking for that needle in the haystack. Who's a keyboard commando? And who's the guy that is actually going to pick up his gun, go out, and commit violence? He seems like an everyday guy, but he got himself fired up, and he wouldn't stop, And unfortunately, it led to a tragic result.
Robertson had also directly threatened other public figures online. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. At least 36 people have died in the raging wildfires on the island of Maui. The flames have all but destroyed the historic town of Lahaina. ABC's Will Carr talked to Cindy Blanco, who'd been visiting Maui from Oregon with her family.
We got the red flag warning, and so we were like, okay, and then the power went out. And so then when the power went out, we were like, oh, it's just from the wind. And then we didn't know there were fires. And then we saw people lining up at the grocery stores.
Hundreds of people have been stuck at the airport on Maui trying to get back home. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average down up 167 points on the day right now. The NASDAQ is up 41, the S&P 500 up 15 points. And our weather today is just going to be lovely. That's next. KSL News Time 10.
What do you need to hear in the morning to feel ready for the day?
Important news that happened overnight, the traffic you'll hit on the roads.
You'll be ready for your day with us.
Join Utah's Morning News 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance. For your free quote, Call Select Quote at 1-800-330-1991. That's 1-800-330-1991. Or go to SelectQuote.com. That's 1-800-330-1991. Select Quote. We shop, you save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
With the economy the way it is, you're probably staying put. So invest in your home, your number one asset, with beautiful custom replacement windows from Advanced Window Products. They're a local Utah company building beautiful vinyl framed and insulated double pane windows for 37 years right here in Salt Lake City. Advanced Window Products will save you money on your energy bill. Get security features to keep your family safe. And at Advanced Window Products, it's all custom. And the best part? They're local. They build the windows, they install the windows, and they guarantee them for life. So there's no middleman markup. You save on the highest quality windows in Utah. Plus, Rocky Mountain and Dominion offer rebates. For a limited time, they offer 60-month 0% financing. And right now, get $2,000 off 10 windows or more. They're working 8 weeks out. So make the call now. Advanced Window Products, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or visit AdvancedWindowsUSA.com.
Power outages happen year-round, and they're always unexpected. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and some people have medical equipment that needs to stay on, or maybe you don't want the hundreds of dollars of food in the freezer to spoil. Regardless of the reasons, Any Hour Services can help with a backup generator. Now, a lot of people think that backup generators cost thousands of dollars, but we have packages that'll run the essentials and start at less than $2,500. That includes the generator, the connections from the generator to the house, and the installation. We also carry and install larger generators that can run the whole house and kick on automatically when the power goes out. Of course, those cost more, but if you call right now, you can save $1,000 on any standby generator purchase over 9,000 watts. A licensed electrician from Any Hour Services will walk you through the process and show you what options are available. And if you need it, we have flexible financing options available, even if you've been told no in the past. To schedule a free estimate, call Any Hour Services today. Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Granite Credit Union's high-yield savings certificates. Here's Heather Kelly.
Well, the good news is we don't have any accidents reported throughout the Wasatch Front, and speeds are moving along pretty well on the I-15 corridor, both directions through Utah, Salt Lake, Davis, and Weber counties. But you do need to expect for some rolling road closures between downtown Salt Lake and the university, as the presidential motorcade will be moving through that area soon. Otherwise, you've got a great drive no matter where you're heading. Renew your smile with Grandpa's Dental. Grandpa's Dental offers cosmetic and routine dentistry. Visit grandpasdental.com for a location near you. That's grandpasdental.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather. Thunderstorms are possible in southern Utah today, and they could move up toward the Wasatch Front tomorrow. Highs will stay around 90 degrees through the weekend. And right now we're at 82 degrees and sunny at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, KSLNewsRadio.com, your all-day companion for news.
A presidential visit. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
Last time we talked a few minutes ago, we just got word that the president will start his speech around 11:15 this morning at the VA Medical Center.
According to Biden's standard time, that is usually 30 minutes at least later than the 11:15 start time they're planning on. 11:45, maybe, Deb? If it starts at 11:15, I'm buying your lunch. It's on me.
Let's go live to the VA Medical Center. We have a team of reporters, producers standing by live for us to keep us posted. Very own political reporter Lindsay Ertz, give us a scoop.
Well, Dave, I better get lunch, too. That's all I'm saying.
Lindsay, you get it.
A lot of hours already.
Peter gets it. Adam Small gets it.
Lunch on Dave. Kira's up there, too. Dave's buying 5 lunches so far. Okay, Lindsay, tell us what's going on.
Okay, so we have confirmed that the governor will be introducing President Biden and speaking right before the president comes out. So that is significant. I mean, it's expected, but also significant. You know, the governor of our state, the executive of our state, a Republican, going to introduce the executive of the United States. And so we understand that the governor will perhaps make some remarks. The governor's team, says, well, the governor often speaks from his heart. So we'll see whether he kind of delivers a full speech or if it's more of just a, welcome and pomp and circumstance. Certainly the all eyes are on the president here, and I don't think the governor wants to take away from that in any way, but certainly he will introduce the president, welcome him to the state, and will be speaking from the podium, at least for a brief moment, to introduce the president.
Lindsay, again, as people are just joining us right now, could you describe what you're seeing right now?
Yeah, so I'm standing in what feels like a big, warehouse-type room at the VA hospital in Salt Lake City. This is up on the campus of the University of Utah. And in front of me, a podium that has two flanked posters that say supporting our veterans, a big banner that says supporting our veterans, and then, the presidential pomp and circumstance lined with American flags and other dignitaries' flags as well will be behind the president. There's a lot of optics that go into a speech like this. And so, there's a lot of people that have filled this room. Everyone that's in this room right now has been invited either by the White House or by people planning President Biden's visit. And so local and national media are here as well. So a lot of people just schmoozing right now, talking to the who's who of who's here. And, there's an energy in the room that we're really excited for the president to speak, and it's really exciting to be in the room where it's happening.
Is there a teleprompter?
Yes, I can see a teleprompter.
Okay.
I can see a teleprompter, and there are some words on it right now, and I don't know if it's fair for me to read those words. I can't really see them, and I don't know what words are on there and what they mean at this point. So there are words on a teleprompter. I can see them right now. You would presume that the president might read those. It's also possible he won't. We just don't know. We don't have any official confirmation on whether he'll read or not. But I can see a teleprompter with words on it.
We're going to go in depth in just a moment, Lindsay, on the significance of the PACT Act and also the expense, the money behind that needs the billions of dollars that will be poured into the PACT Act. I want to get back to the political angle for just a moment. We know that Mayor Aaron Mendenhall, Salt Lake City Mayor Aaron Mendenhall, and also Salt Lake County Mayor Jenny Wilson, along with Governor Cox and First Lady Abby Cox, were there yesterday as Air Force One landed and came to a stop, and they all greeted the president. We heard earlier today during Utah's Morning News from Mayor Mendenhall about those 5 or 6 minutes that all four of them were interacting with President Biden.
It was really generous and unexpected that on such a hot day with the noisy tarmac, he would stand there and talk to us for 5 or 6 minutes. But he talked about bipartisanship. Excuse me. He talked about his time as a young congressman many decades ago and learning from Republicans as he learned from Democrats and building relationships that ended up, positively affecting his ability to get things done as a congressperson for so long. And I think standing there with Governor Cox, First Lady Abby Cox, and 2 Democrat mayors with Mayor Wilson and myself, he knew his audience. He's met, I think, each of us before, and it was a really special moment to learn from the president about collaboration.
That was Salt Lake City Mayor Aaron Mendenhall. Also, Salt Lake County Mayor Jenny Wilson had several minutes, 4 or 5, maybe even 6 minutes worth of talking to the president on the tarmac, very unique. And then Governor Cox, his wife Abby, was there as well. And then Governor Cox got to jump in the motorcade and had, maybe 10 or 15 minutes to chit-chat with the president. Lindsay Aerts joining us right now, who is up at the VA. As far as reporters, is everybody checked in right now as far as reporters go, and they're just funneling in the rest of the folks?
Yeah, I think that there are a few stragglers still checking in, but most of the media is in place right now. And as back to your point about the governor and the mayors of Salt Lake County and Salt Lake City who met with the president just briefly on the tarmac, and they talked about bipartisanship. I think that is also what you'll see from Governor Cox. His national agenda with his National Governors Association is Disagree Better. This is certainly an example of where he can do that. He disagreed right after the president's designation of a monument in Arizona with that decision, but is still here welcoming him today as the leader of Utah. That's the type of leader that Governor Cox wants to be and is showing up here today to do that. I think it's interesting, and I would have loved to be a fly on the wall in that conversation between the president and the governor. And in fact, the governor's people tell me that he might do a little scrum right after this. So I know he's joining your show today. I don't know who's going to get to ask him first, you guys.
It'll be us, Linz.
Okay, good.
Let me just stand by. Let me just stand by a second, Linz. We've got some developing news on the president's visit. Our understanding here at Broadcast House is that the president is preparing now to leave the hotel where he's staying. Caitlin, can I get a nod if I'm correctly reporting this? Okay. We've got a camera fixated on the downtown hotel he's been staying at. He will leave the hotel, head to the Hotel Monaco. And just an update to Lindsay's fly-on-the-wall wannabe with the governor and the president yesterday in the motorcade. We are just shake your head yes behind the glass, Caitlin, if I'm getting this right. 10:20, we're expecting a phone call from the governor. So Linz, you're hearing it along with us. The governor calling the show. We're working on to get him on in the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, and again, Governor Cox is expected to offer the opening remarks preceding President Biden, so we'll look forward to that conversation. See if we can get a little preview of what he's going to talk about.
Thanks, Lindsay. Appreciate it. Stand by live. We understand the governor may be on the move. Oh, excuse me, the president. President Joe Biden may be on the move right now, making his way toward the VA Medical Center. His speech now scheduled for 11:15, and you said that was postponed, Dave, right? Oh, it was supposed to be earlier? You don't know?
I don't know.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So 11:15 today, in just an hour from now, he'll be speaking at the VA Medical Center about the PACT Act. We're waiting for a phone call, hopefully from the governor in the next few minutes, who was in the limo with the president yesterday afternoon. The governor just confirmed.
It's a rare visit. President Biden is here from a sitting U.S. president.
The details of his trip closely guarded.
There's a lot of personnel that are involved. We've done this before.
Follow President Biden's Stay in Utah with KSL. Tune in 2 or 3 times a day for updates and analysis. A presidential visit. Special coverage this week on KSL News Radio.
Hey, folks, if you have lived in Utah for a while, you probably know this already. If you're new to the state, okay, I'll educate you a little bit. Did you know that Utah has some of the hardest water in the entire country? You may not have known that, but you probably have felt it, and you may not have recognized what was going on. If you've noticed that your skin is extra dry after a shower or a bath, if you have those tough water stains on your dishes after you run them clean, but you've got to just like scrub off all of those hard water stains, yeah, it's because hard water is the worst. It's why my wife and I decided to call Kinetico of Utah, have them come out to our house, and have them show us the difference that soft water can make in our life. And we've been so happy. We've just loved having it. Every once in a while, you have to throw some salt in the bin, but it's so efficient. It uses 2/3 the salt of everybody else. So give them a call, 801-576-8600. That's Kinetico of Utah, 801-576-8600. Or check them out online at softwaterutah.com.
Hi, this is Cameron Rising. Growing up, summer break was the best, but I've learned that a lot of kids don't feel the same. That's because summer means their school breakfast and lunch won't be available. What's awesome is the food bank helps. Join me and Les Olson IT by giving food, time, or money. Take your donations to any Les Olson IT branch or the food bank. And find more info at lesolson.com/food. Let's support our community together.
Warmer weather is here, and Skinny Utah would like to help you shape up for summer by losing 20 pounds in the next 40 days. That's right, 20 pounds in as little as 40 days. That's the Skinny Utah promise. Skinny Utah will customize every plan because no two bodies are alike. Their proven program is 100% natural. There are never any prepackaged meals or shakes to buy, and they never use dangerous drugs or hormones. Skinny Utah will teach you how to eat real food you buy at the store. Take the first step to a healthier new you and schedule your free weight loss strategy session at skinnyutah.com. A $300 value, absolutely free. Skinny Utah has offices in Draper, Orem, Centerville, and St. George, and they're extending their couple special, where the second person is half price. Schedule your free weight loss strategy session today at skinnyutah.com. That's skinnyutah.com. At Skinny Utah, you have nothing to lose but the weight.
Getting close to retirement? Or have you retired? You've probably got a ton of stress-filled questions on your mind. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth. Getting a second opinion with an individualized investment plan is vital, and our fiduciary advisors do just that. Take it from this Trajan Wealth client.
It was just so pleasant, so comfortable. I think we had 7 different accounts, just stuff scattered all over the place. And then so we just started, here's this, move this. And he even explained it a couple different times. But if I have more questions, he said, just give us a call. And that's what I love. He's a phone call away. Like, I'm glad I know these guys. Such a huge weight off my shoulder.
Imagine not second-guessing investments or monthly retirement income. That's the peace of mind you'll get from working with Trajan Wealth. Call 801-899-7600 today or visit TrajanWealth.com.
Actual client, no compensation, no conflicts. Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
Dave and Dujanovic.
We're going to speak live in moments to Governor Spencer Cox. Just got word that he is going to have a few words to introduce the President Biden, at the VA Medical Center today in a speech that is scheduled to happen just about 11:15 this morning. We will take it live the moment it happens.
Do you think there's any chance we could get a little preview from the governor? Is he saving it, all the juicy stuff for the opening remarks?
Hi, Governor.
Good morning. I don't know if there's anything juicy or surprising, but I'm happy to be with you this morning.
Oh, we're so glad to have you. I don't even know where to begin, but I do want to back it up. About 16, 18 hours ago when it looked like you had poured into the limousine with the President of the United States. And I think everyone in Utah who watched that wanted to be a fly on the door frame of that limo. What did you talk about?
Well, it was a great opportunity to have some time with the president. We worked together over the past couple of years. Obviously, we were both elected at the same time. As lieutenant governor, when he was vice president, we had served at the same time as well and had some connection then. So just an opportunity to talk about issues that are important to Utahns, some things that we disagree on, some things we agree on. Talked about the recent monument declaration around the Grand Canyon. Obviously, some strong disagreements there, and he's aware of those disagreements. But we also talked about the Great Salt Lake and some of the preservation efforts, the $1 billion that we've appropriated to work on that, to see if there is some opportunities to partner with the federal government on that issue. And those are the types of things that we're talking about. And I just want to say it's so strange to me that there's even a question of, will the governor welcome the President of the United States to our state? If you think that that's problematic, then that's part of the problem in our country today. I mean, this is what we do. This is what we've always done. We treat the office with respect, and that's true regardless of what party is in politics. And we're always fortunate when a president of the United States visits our state, and it's something that we should always be excited about and celebrate. And again, we have disagreements, and we should share those disagreements passionately, but we can respect the office.
Governor Spencer Cox is joining us right now. Just before President Biden speaks, we expect to hear from him in the next hour or so. But Governor, I'd like to get your impressions. So often when we talk about politicians, there's kind of a public persona. I'm interested to see how would you describe his personal persona versus maybe some of the public rhetoric we hear from the president?
Well, sure. And what I would say is, and others have said this as well, I think this was how he got elected so many years ago and why he served in office for so long. President Biden is a very friendly person. He's a very, very jovial person. He's a storyteller. He loves to tell stories. He's a good storyteller, and he has the ability. I think he's always been able to connect with people kind of one-on-one. And that's part of, I think, what has made him so successful, and that's always true. He's a great conversationalist and somebody that you can have a really productive conversation with, and he's always willing to work across the aisle. He has a history of that. Obviously, I wish he would do more of that these days, and those are some of the conversations that we had as well.
Governor Spencer Cox on the line live with us as we'll wait the
Sadly, I have to wrap up.
You do.
You guys.
Let's let you go.
He just arrived, and we need to head into the auditorium. So we're happy to call back in later and give a wrap up.
Thanks, Gov. Thanks, Governor. Good luck with your introduction today at the VA hospital. As the president, you just heard the president is arriving there at the VA Medical Center, and I've got my eyes right now on a live camera feed from our friends at KSL5 Television. You can see, Dave, look at that as folks in that building that they've fixated the lens of the camera on. They are panning straight up that high-rise building, and window after window after window, folks are standing by and watching as the president arrives and actually leaves the Hotel Monaco to head to his speech at the VA hospital. And obviously, look at that. Do you have your eyes on the feed as well, Dave? There on Facebook, you can see the motorcade. It looks like UHP troopers on motorcycles there. You see Salt Lake police officers and crowds gathering there on the sidewalk. And I heard one of the hosts here last night, Mara Carbello, on KSL at Night, and she said no matter what party affiliation you align with, if you have an opportunity to witness a visit from the leader of the free world, by the President of the United States, do it, because it is a moment you will never forget. We've got a lot more coverage straight ahead. The president, of course, speaking today at 11:15 about the PACT Act. And as we watch for the president to leave, it looks like Hotel Monaco. There it is. The camera's fixated on Hotel Monaco. Dave wanted to get into more details about what this PACT Act is and how much it's going to cost taxpayers to fund. And you just saw some new numbers come out this morning regarding the PACT Act. He'll speak on that later today. It is the main purpose of his visit. We'll also talk in just a little bit about the fundraiser he will attend after his speech at the VA Medical Center.
Yeah, I think it's very important to talk about the PACT Act itself because there was a lot of bipartisan support for the PACT Act. In fact, 84 senators voted for it, 11 senators voted against it. Well, 2 of those 11 senators that voted against it were Senators Mitt Romney and Mike Lee from Utah. Why did they vote against that? Because when you look at it just on its surface, health care protection for military members that had served in Afghanistan, that had served in Iraq, that had served in Vietnam with Agent Orange, and there were these toxic burn pits. Why wouldn't we take care of our veterans? You look at it on the surface, of course, this should be 100%, no doubt that we take care of our veterans. But then you start looking at the cost of the bill, and there are some staggering numbers.
And we did note yesterday during our show that Senator Romney and neither Senator Romney nor Senator Mike Lee will be in attendance today at that speech at the VA hospital. And as you mentioned, they both voted against it. On yesterday's show, the communications director for the Democratic Party, Ben Anderson, reminded us that both of them had voted against it.
I do think it's disappointing. It was reported that neither of our senators will be greeting the president, as has been tradition every time a president has come to Utah for quite a few years. And I think that also, kind of coincides with the fact that both of our senators voted against the PACT Act. So that's probably part of why they won't be at that event. But it is really disappointing.
And the PACT Act covers some of the worst diseases, Debbie. Brain cancer, kidney cancer, pancreatic cancer, a whole slew of lung diseases for our veterans. Okay, so this is where the question comes in. Why did Romney and Lee vote no? And as I was researching and finding out, okay, why would our Utah senators, who are very pro-military, why would they vote against this? And then I started seeing in my research how much this was estimated to cost, the PACT Act. Again, this is a very narrow, specific money set aside. It was supposed to cost around $300 billion.
When they started
talking
about it, okay.
by the time they signed it,
Okay.
it was about $667 billion.
And President Biden signed it last summer, right?
Yeah,
a
yeah.
year ago.
A year ago today.
He's here to celebrate the 1 year anniversary. So I understand $660 billion as of last summer. Okay.
Yes. Okay, in April, the Congressional Budget Office recalculated the cost, and this is over 10 years, the cost over 10 years. They just said that it will likely cost $800 billion.
And that's today's figure.
That's today's figure, yes.
This is probably a silly question, but obviously that it's potentially going to get more expensive.
Absolutely.
Right? They're going to reassess it.
Yeah, we don't know what inflation is going to look like in the next 10 years, but you can see a little bit more why Senators Lee and Romney, and they were very clear, they were concerned about the cost, the money attached to it, how easily they say it would be to abuse the system. And they're not talking about abuse from the veterans. They were talking about abuse from Congress, that they would look at this chunk of money and start dipping into it, this is like what Congress does. They see a huge chunk of money
raid the fund.
And they start raiding the fund. So when you start reading of why Senators Lee and Romney oppose this, you see the $800 billion price tag on this piece of legislation that we're celebrating. It makes a little more sense to me why they wanted to put some parameters on it. Mike Lee tried to put an amendment on that. They got voted down. But yeah, $800 billion for this piece of legislation.
Glad you were able to get your arms wrapped around that insight about, and 11 senators, voted against it, but it passed overwhelmingly.
Yeah, 84-11.
President signed it. A number of veterans have also, as a result of the PACT Act, it's been reported that more than 100,000 have now signed up for VA health care because a lot of these illnesses are now presumed to have been contracted while they were serving in Afghanistan, in Iraq, and even all the way back to the Vietnam War. We will, of course, cover the president's speech live when it happens. It's supposed to happen about 11:15 today. We still got our eyes on downtown Salt Lake City, where he'll head from the Hotel Monaco, where he stayed, to the VA hospital. And I'm not clear if there's been movement yet as to whether the limo has left. But the moment it does, we will make sure you know about it and cover the speech live in about 45 minutes.
It's 10:31 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bonas. KSL's top local story this hour. We've just learned that veterans will have more time now to apply for retroactive benefits under the PACT Act.
VA Undersecretary for Benefits Josh Jacobs says veterans now have until 10 p.m. on Monday to have their benefits backdated to the earliest possible date when the PACT Act was first signed into law last July. Jacobs says the act lets vets get life-changing benefits for themselves and their families.
I've heard from veterans who are now coming back to VA for the first time after decades because they were turned away so many years ago, and now they're not.
Jacobs says there is no deadline to apply for maximum benefits that are not backdated. The PACT Act is aimed at helping get health care and disability benefits for people who were exposed to toxic substances while serving in the Middle East. Kate Davis, KSL News Radio.
And, of course, the anniversary of the PACT Act is what President Biden is marking today with his visit to the VA Medical Center in Salt Lake City. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. At least 36 people have died in wildfires in Hawaii. They have hit the island of Maui hardest, destroying almost 300 buildings in the historic town of Lahaina. ABC's Will Carr says people back in Los Angeles have been trying to get off flights that they had planned to Hawaii once they learned about the fires.
On the mainland, you have passengers demanding to be let off the planes coming to Hawaii as they were finding out all of the devastation as it was unfolding. I was on a plane from LA here to Maui when one mother with tears in her eyes was asking the crew to be let off the plane. She said she had planned a dream trip here to Hawaii only to have to stay home. And she said as devastating as that was, it's nothing compared to the families who've lost everything here, and her heart goes out to them.
There also have been wildfires on the island of Hawaii. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average up 117 points right now. The NASDAQ is up about 50 points. And our KSL weather, lovely day for the president to drop by. We'll have that next. KSL News Time, 10:33.
We have enough people running around Broadcast House at 4 in the morning to field a football team.
Producers, reporters, the traffic team, and us.
This is Tim and Amanda.
Join us each morning from 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
You've been following my SOTA weight loss journey for almost 20 months now. I lost 37 pounds in the first 12 weeks. Amazing, feel different, look different, able to act different. And all of it came through just the power and simplicity of SOTA. SOTA stands for state-of-the-art weight loss because it is. You've got that weekly one-on-one coaching that I love to talk about, that accountability piece. And not just accountability, but insight. When you have a question, you're not sure, you're hesitating, you just text, you just call. You have access to your own nutritionist to keep you right on pace and keep everything going. It's also a whole 100% 360-degree look at how you approach nutrition. Getting your body the right energy, the right nutrients at the right time does make all the difference, and it's part of what makes SOTA so successful, not just for me, but for countless other people. As I said, I'm 20 months down the road, right on path, right where I've been for almost 20 months now. Same thing can happen for you. As I always say, when it comes to your SOTA weight loss journey, there's no time to lose. There's only time to win, so get winning. Start with SOTA weight loss today. Check it out at SOTAweightloss.com, SOTAweightloss.com.
Amanda, we have a lot of responsibilities as parents. You feel obligated to teach your kids many things, if not all things in life sometimes, which is a little overwhelming. But it's surprising how little we talk to our kids about money.
Financial responsibility.
Yeah.
That's why I'm so excited to tell you about what UCCU is doing, Utah Community Credit Union. As part of their mobile banking, they now have this thing called Learn and Earn.
Learn and Earn breaks down financial topics into fun, bite-sized educational games like quizzes and trivia. And every time anybody in the family completes a topic, you earn points that can accrue and you can redeem for gift cards from places like Amazon, Apple, Walmart, and others.
So literally, they are paying you to learn about financial responsibility.
It really is a great way to go, and it's fun for the whole family. Learn and Earn is part of UCCU's award-winning Be Money Smart Youth Banking Program that helps kids, teens, and parents have fun while learning and becoming financially literate together.
UCCU Mobile Banking now presents Learn and Earn. UCCU, you're going to love where you bank.
Trump, but we do have a crash on Redwood Road northbound at 9800 South. That has shut down all northbound lanes and traffic is backed up in the area through South Jordan. So you need to find an alternate route, but right now your freeways are running at speed. If you want a heating and air company using third-party verification over their work, that's one of the highest rated on both Google and Yelp. Call At Your Service Pros 801-YOUR-PRO. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, thunderstorms possible in southern Utah today. We could see them on the Wasatch Front by tomorrow. Highs will stay at around 90 degrees through the weekend. And right now, it's 84 degrees and sunny at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. Your all-day companion for news.
A presidential visit. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
We are watching a Facebook Live feed right now. On KSL5 TV's Facebook page. The cameras are fixated on downtown Salt Lake City, where the president has been staying overnight. He will be speaking, we expect at about 11:15 today at the VA Medical Center about the PACT Act. We just went in depth on what the PACT Act is and how much it is going to potentially cost. $800 billion is the new price tag on the PACT Act.
Yeah, over 10 years.
And of course, a lot of veterans have benefited from the signing of this, which today marks the 1 year. That's why the president's here, to mark the 1 year anniversary of the signing of the PACT Act, which extended disability benefits to our veterans who were exposed to some very nasty toxins and chemicals while they served in multiple wars. Also have a live camera at the VA Medical Center where we have a bird's eye view here of the podium and the flags lined up behind the podium where the president will speak.
I don't want to cause any excitement, unnecessary excitement, but Debbie, do you see the new Utah flag up there?
I don't, but it's kind of that's a small monitor and it's pretty far away from me. What do you see? And
Well,
there's also
I
a
saw
camera.
a close-up.
There's also a like a news camera blocking, like a studio camera blocking our entire view. So
Again, I don't know what that means. The old flag is called the governor's flag, so perhaps it's used in that, but it's the American flag, the governor's flag, and then I'm assuming it's the armed forces flags behind them.
Speaking of the governor, moments ago, the governor calling the show live to talk about what he talked to the president about during that now famous limo ride. After the president's arrival yesterday afternoon on Air Force One, the governor was seen jumping in the limousine with the president.
So just an opportunity to talk about issues that are important to Utahns, some things that we disagree on, some things we agree on. Talked about the recent monument declaration around the Grand Canyon. Obviously, some strong disagreements there, and he's aware of those disagreements. But we also talked about the Great Salt Lake and some of the preservation efforts, the $1 billion that we've appropriated to work on that, to see if there is some opportunities to partner with the federal government on that issue. And those are the types of things that we're talking about.
And in a show of bipartisanship, not only did the governor have that ride with the president yesterday afternoon, he will also be introducing the president before his speech this morning at the VA Medical Center.
Another thing the governor said that I completely and totally agree with was he wanted to talk about some of the criticism he had heard about whether he should even meet with President Biden. And he said, this is the president of the United States. The office has a great deal of honor, and I can disagree with him politically, but I will honor the office. And meeting with him is an absolute no-brainer, paraphrasing his words. But I really liked seeing that. I love seeing that the governor took the time, met with him, and I think it's productive to create these relationships.
KSL at Night host Taylor Morgan calling the show right now, also a political consultant. And at some point, you were a member of staff back in Congress where you were actually in Washington, D.C. So you have a lot of insight on how important these visits are, Taylor.
Debbie, thank you. You have now besmirched my record multiple times by referring to my Washington, D.C. time. But it's true. So
did you serve back there when President Biden was in the Senate?
Yes,
okay.
I did. And, I was a staff member for the House Committee on Foreign Affairs. And I had a few personal interactions with then Senator Joe Biden. And he was always very kind to me and had a lot of respect for him. And it's fun to have him back in our state, Debbie. But as many know, this is not President Biden's first time in Utah, especially for campaigning. As many know, Park City particularly has a long, storied history of being a well-known ATM machine for presidential incumbents and candidates. In fact, President Biden is the third sitting president to visit Park City for fundraising events since the 90s. President Bill Clinton visited Park City twice during his second term. He also vacationed at Deer Valley. And President George W. Bush visited Park City for fundraising events. So it is a popular place for presidents and candidates to visit. Also, Utah Senator Mitt Romney for many years, held a very popular E2 Summit in Park City, which was really the go-to event for political strategists, members of Congress, presidential hopefuls. So Park City is the place, Debbie.
And that's where the president will be going after his speech, at least sometime today, to head up to a fundraiser in the Park City area. I just wanted to make sure our listeners realize that's why we've brought Park City into this conversation.
Well, in part because
transition there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very, very smooth.
Anytime.
I think what really stood out to me yesterday, I saw an article in the Salt Lake Tribune that talked about the cost of attending one of the events. It starts at $3,300 for a ticket, but if you want a picture, it could cost somewhere between $10,000 and $25,000. If you want a picture in a chat, then it's $50,000. If you want to be a host, it's $100,000. And I've heard numbers that are even higher than that for access. But Taylor, big-time Washington insider Taylor Morgan joining us right now.
Thanks, Dave. Thank you. Dave, really quickly, I can actually go on the record now with this as a quote-unquote Biden insider. I was offered the opportunity to go to dinner with President Biden at the discounted insider rate of $750,000.
When?
That's a little outside my price range.
When were you invited to go to dinner with him?
That's all I can say, Debbie.
Oh, my goodness.
Taylor.
Oh, my goodness.
Whoa. What number did you say?
I said $750,000, Dave.
Okay.
And why you?
Debbie, you could go if you had 750.
Insider, Debbie, like Dave said.
Big time.
Okay, so I want to just for a moment, Taylor, before we let you off the line here, I want to get back to the importance of Park City, and it sounds like it's a sort of an equal opportunity party place for both parties. When you said that, did you say President Bush had been up there as well? Mitt Romney has been there to raise money as well, or to hold events there. And that's
just last year, we know before he officially announced his presidential campaign, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis held a fundraiser in July last year. The Reagan Institute and Mike Pence held a fundraiser for Burgess Owens also last summer. And Debbie, just a few weeks ago, Ron DeSantis' campaign staff held a very pricey strategy meeting at Deer Valley, staying at Stein Erickson Lodge. Their bill there was just about $90,000 for a 3-day strategy session.
My goodness. Well, it is. I mean, it's also known as like the number one most expensive place to buy a home. I think the median home price there, the average home price is well over $1 million, inching toward $1.5 million. And what's wild about that is it's not necessarily a new thing, or that's kind of a newer thing for Park City. I was shocked to learn that 5 years ago you could have gotten a home for about 80% less than that. So it's definitely an up and comer in terms of the amount of money that's available. And glad to know that both parties recognize that, I guess. But you're not going to be there tonight, then I take it, at the president's fundraiser?
No, Debbie, I will not be at the fundraising events. And I will say, just as maybe a party note, I tend to be fairly critical of President Biden these days. However, I really appreciate him not just coming to Utah to raise money at the ATM in Park City. I think we should all appreciate a presidential visit to the VA in Salt Lake City, about to happen now, and appreciate Governor Cox being, bipartisan in his conversations with President Biden. I think that is important for our state, and it's nice to have national leaders coming to Utah for more than just money.
Taylor Morgan, thank you for joining us, and that some incredible insight. I love it. The ATM machine that is Park City. It's easy to raise money in Park City. Thank you, Taylor.
The president expected to speak at the VA Medical Center on the campus of the University of Utah. So many, you see it all the time when you're driving, along the Foothill Boulevard area there on the east side. He has spent the night in the downtown area, and we have a live TV camera thanks to our friends at KSL5 TV fixated on what looks like, I'm sorry, it's not red and white, but it does look a little bit like a circus tent. And we see, looks like part of the motorcade there, and some police tape surrounding that. We believe, and then Caitlin, shake your head. She's our producer with eyeballs on. We believe that's where the president will walk out of. We've also, any moment now, it looks like there's been some movement there. And we've also watched as well, thanks to this bird's eye view that we're getting from our friends at KSL5, that there's a number of people lining the streets in the downtown Salt Lake City area, and also standing at the windows of some of the high-rise buildings to try to get a chance to see the president and his motorcade as it leaves. The Utah Highway Patrol has its troopers on motorcycles there, it looks like. And also we've seen many Salt Lake City police officers kind of mulling around the area. How about if we step away for just a moment? Let's bring Boyd Matheson in studio with us next, as well as we await the president's departure here in downtown Salt Lake City.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Before Dave and Debbie get started each day, this station is all news all morning.
And later today, we follow up on those stories as you drive home.
Get important news all morning and all afternoon.
Here on KSL News Radio.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. We're here in the dog days of summer. Yes, the month of August. And to get that perfect steak, you don't have to be out there in the hot weather. You don't have to be slaving over that barbecue. All you have to do is get into Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, and they do all the work for you. They do all of the prep. They do all of the grilling. They do all of the cleanup. And you are going to have the best steak you have ever had at either location, 275 Southwest Temple, right in the heart of downtown Salt Lake City. A lot of people, of course, like to combine the Ruth's Chris experience with something going on downtown, maybe a concert, just a simple movie. And then there's Hotel Park City. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, if you're going to be up in Summit County, going for a hike, just getting away, going to the outlet stores, Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, Hotel Park City. The best steak you have ever had is waiting for you right there at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse.
Attention taxpayers, ready for some bad news? With $80 billion in new funding from Congress, the IRS has launched their most aggressive hiring campaign ever to ramp up enforcement. If you're ignoring your taxes, don't delay another minute because your paycheck, your bank account, even your home or business could already be at risk. Now, here's the good news. Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax relief firm, can get to work immediately, helping to protect you from the IRS. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, their tax attorneys and licensed professionals are experts at resolving tax problems. Let them help determine if you qualify for the Fresh Start Initiative or other powerful IRS tax assistance programs. Take control. Call Optima Tax Relief now for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
We just watched the drapes open to the tent that is fixated on the entryway of the Hotel Monaco where the president has been staying. He will be making his way. There you go. Looks like his motorcade is now leaving the Hotel Monaco. We see some movement there. One of the cars is leaving. Of course, security very tight. It's hard for us to get a perfect view from the camera, but we certainly appreciate KSL5 TV and their feed on Facebook right now. And there, the president is now moving through the streets of downtown Salt Lake, crossing Main Street right now, right by the hotel there, to a number of people who've been lined up and waiting to see a glimpse of President Joe Biden and his visit here to Salt Lake City.
Yeah, there's a couple of limousines. I'm not quite sure which one he's in. I think they do that on purpose as well. But you can see a lot of people that are gathered in this area, taking photos, taking videos, pictures as we look at this. Here, this is a live listen in on the presidential motorcade, and it is extensive. It is long. There's been at least, maybe a dozen trucks. SUVs, limousines that have been following him.
Boyd Matheson in studio, a little bit early for us. We appreciate you being with us. We know of your history and your experience back in D.C., Boyd, and for a lot of people who haven't had an opportunity to be close to see a president, see the motorcade, this is a really poignant moment.
Yeah, it is. It's always interesting. In fact, it was something I always loved when I was in D.C. was when the presidential motorcade goes down Pennsylvania Avenue. It's a big deal. Or when it pulls up in front of the Capitol when the president was going to, speak to the Senate or deliver a State of the Union address. Those are big moments. You kind of feel that energy in the city. And it's one of those things where, again, all the politics gets brushed aside, and it's about the office, not the occupant. And that's an important part of who we are as a country, that we do have this office. We have this office, not this person or personality. We have this office that holds this really important role. And it's actually a really good opportunity to reflect on the role of the president and what that actually should be, what we've sort of allowed it to devolve into. It's become much more about a platform and politics. Remember, the job is executive. It's the executive branch. It's not the rhetorical person in chief. It's not the tweeter in chief. Their job is to execute. And sadly, we've gotten away from that in a lot of instances. Military, judges, and the agencies execute it. It's pretty simple in terms of what's outlined. And so today's actually a good day for everyone to kind of think through, what is the role of the President of the United States, and why does that matter to us so much?
Well, that's a very good question, Boyd, because as you describe it, his job is to execute, the laws that have been passed by Congress. But number one, I don't exactly know what that means. And if I'm understanding it correctly, it could be a pretty boring job because all of that stuff kind of takes care of itself.
Yeah, it's. I mean, if you think about it, if you think of kind of the CEO and the president of an organization, the CEO is kind of making sure trains are on time, things are getting done, everything's executing properly. So whatever law Congress has passed, then it's the job of the executive branch. The president's over that. He's running this big organization to make sure it gets done. So whether it's veterans, so Congress passes a law, the PACT Act, it's the job of the president to execute that and make sure that the VA runs properly, that all those veterans get those benefits the way they've been promised. And it's an execution job. And that's why sometimes we talk about it in the context of governors often make great presidents because they know how to execute. It's executive leadership, not legislative leadership. And sadly, in a lot of ways, we've turned it into just more of a bully pulpit and a political position, almost ceremonial. And I think we have to get back to those original origins.
You mentioned governors. Governor Spencer Cox getting that limo ride with the president yesterday afternoon after Air Force One touchdown. He called the show. Governor Cox called the show about 30 minutes ago. He will also be introducing the president before a speech at the VA Medical Center. And here's what Governor Cox told us about what he talked to President Biden about. And he really did say, this was a moment for us to kind of have the one-on-one conversation without a lot of eyeballs on him, right?
So just an opportunity to talk about issues that are important to Utahns, some things that we disagree on, some things we agree on. Talked about the recent monument declaration around the Grand Canyon. Obviously, some strong disagreements there, and he's aware of those disagreements. But we also talked about the Great Salt Lake and some of the preservation efforts, the $1 billion that we've appropriated to work on that, to see if there is some opportunities to partner with the federal government on that issue. And those are the types of things that we're talking about.
From a political standpoint, what's your analysis of the president's visit here to Utah so far, Boyd?
So I think he's done the right things. Again, I think starting on the tarmac, I think that was a good moment. I think the ride with the governor was also important. And I think it was an opportunity for the governor to maybe vent a little bit in terms of, hey, you just took all this land and this is going to impact Utah farmers and ranchers in a real way. And it's not that he was going to be in there lobbying, hey, what I really want you to do is to undo your executive order.
Which he just did in Arizona a couple of days ago.
Yeah. So that'll get undone by
but
the
maybe
next Republican.
But it may be a moment for him to explain from a different perspective of the impact monuments like these have.
Yeah, and even beyond that. So even, obviously, the president's not going to change his position in terms of what he did, but the governor could make the case of, okay, if you're going to do that, if you're going to take these big swaths of land, let's make sure that we have the funding in place to actually do it properly. And so that's something where the governor could weigh in and say, look, we disagree with this for sure, but if you're going to do it, he could go to the Bears' ears and say, look, you said you wanted to protect all of this land. You have one person watching over 1 million acres. I don't think that's really preserving and protecting the land. So you can make that case of funding, resources, allocation, and I think those kind of conversations are important.
And one thing that is unique when it comes to federal monuments in Utah is, as far as huge tracts of land, nearly 30% of all the land in federal monuments resides in Utah. It's the size of 2 Delawares, according to Senator Mike Lee. There's another angle to this, Boyd, that I want to pick your brain on. There is a little bit of this rock star status that we're seeing. There's cameras following the vehicle that is leaving the hotel. People are lined up on the streets. We even saw a video where people are pressed up against the glass in the high-rise buildings watching this. I'm interested, number one, on kind of the rock star treatment of the presidency, and then how does it compare to other nations? Do the Brits do the exact same thing? Do the Germans do the exact same thing every time the prime minister moves around?
Yeah, I think there's two interesting components to that. There is kind of this rock star status, and again, kind of away from the executor of the executive branch. Again, I think we need to return to that a little bit. I think that's an important shift we need to get to. But I do think there's this natural respect for leaders. And, one person framed it as the president of the United States is the most famous person in the world. And really the most powerful in terms of a position. And it is very similar in the UK when the prime minister moves around. People are aware of that. They know what's going on. The U.S., I think, is, again, because of the size and the rarity of having a president in your town also creates and amps that up a little bit. Britain and Germany are smaller countries, and so you tend to see them a little bit more. But to get the president somewhere like Utah, typically flyover country, for a Democratic president in particular, there is that intrigue of, wow, this person in one of those vehicles is the football. Somebody's got the nuclear codes. The nuclear codes are in Utah today.
In Utah today.
The situation room, a mobile situation room, is in Utah today. Because if the president needed to, he could pop it up in minutes, and they'd be ready to go. So there's a lot of intrigue around that as well.
And there will be Utah veterans who have probably the first opportunity of their life after serving the country, who will have an opportunity today to meet the commander-in-chief.
Commander-in-chief, yeah. A big deal.
His speech expected in 15 minutes from now. We are watching the VA Medical Center live from here at Broadcast House, and we'll take you there live when it happens.
KSL FM Midvale, KSL Salt Lake City. Listen on the KSL News Radio app and in your car at 102.7 FM. KSL News Radio, your all-day companion for news.
It's 11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bonas. KSL's top story this hour. President Biden is expected to speak in just a few minutes at the VA Medical Center in Salt Lake City. He'll mark the first anniversary of the PACT Act, which provides care for veterans who are exposed to toxic burn pits as part of their service. We've learned just this morning the VA has extended the deadline for affected veterans to apply for retroactive benefits under the Act. They now have until 10 p.m. Mountain Time next Monday to apply online. Holy Cross Hospitals appeared to confirm reports of layoffs in a statement emailed to KSL today. The statement did not say, though, how many employees were affected or what roles they hold. The hospital chain runs facilities in Utah, Colorado, and Kansas. In the statement, they acknowledged financial strain and said they're taking steps to improve efficiency and effectiveness as well as reduce costs, but they also said they continue to recruit and hire caregivers such as nurses. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Inflation's downward trend slowed last month as the government's consumer price index ticked up. Prices came in at 3.2% higher in July this year than a year ago, which is still well above the Federal Reserve's target number, according to ABC's economics reporter Alexis Christoforous.
That magic number is 2%. That's where the Fed wants inflation to be. I think this report is encouraging for them, but I don't think they're going to declare mission accomplished just yet. The Fed doesn't meet in August. They meet again in September. Some think we could have another pause in interest rates. Most economists I spoke to say don't expect inflation to get back down to 2% until at least this time next year, and only then might we see the Fed actually start to cut interest rates.
Your money at this moment. The Dow Jones average up 70 points on the day right now. The NASDAQ is up 28. And our KSL weather, we're seeing sunshine today and relatively seasonal temperatures. That's next. KSL News Time, 11:02.
Start your days with knowledgeable, friendly voices telling you about the latest news and weather out there.
Hi, this is Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
In the business of waking you up each morning from 5 to 9.
On KSL News Radio.
Join KSL's Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon at the grand opening of the new Bedrock Courts location in Spanish Fork. Friday, August 11th from 1 to 3, bedrockcourts.com.
Are you finally ready to lose weight for life? Imagine the new you and feeling good in your body without the discomfort and even pain from the excess weight. Get your consultation today at Revive Men's Health here in Salt Lake City to assess your health and discuss if their safe and effective weight loss treatment with semaglutide is a good fit for you. They offer treatments for anyone who may need support in their weight loss goals or who may benefit from semaglutide support with pricing up to 60% less than the name brand medications. They also offer comprehensive DNA-based testing to help you understand your metabolism to make sustained weight loss, better performance, and fitness a reality. Join our satisfied patients who are maintaining substantial weight loss. Call Revive today and book your consultation. Men, women, and couples are all welcome at Revive. Call 801-263-7777. That's 801-263-7777. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
So you'd like to start enjoying your home a little more without climbing the stairs or doing yard work. How about spacious living in a newly designed, planned community with access to activities like golf, pickleball, and even leisurely strolls on beautiful open trails? It's yours with Nilsson Homes. They've been building homes across the Wasatch Front for over 45 years. Now see their latest single-level living community in Davis and Weber County. Brand new, move-in ready homes in the heart of Davis and Weber County, offering all the things you want in low-maintenance, luxury, single-level living. Easy access to just about everything. And best of all, no more stairs, lawnmowers, or yard work. Nilsson Homes has thought of everything, and it's done for you. Take advantage of amazing financing or reverse mortgage options. Nilsson Homes, luxury, low-maintenance living. Visit nilssonhomes.com. That's Nilson homes.com.
Prices are slashed.
This means hot deals at Dave's Bernina.
At their St. George and Provo locations.
I mean, offers so good we can't tell you the prices, and they won't last long.
Up to 48 months, no interest on certain models.
Come in now for this 3-day event. See the world premiere of the all-new Bernina 790 Pro machine with features you've never seen before, such as a computerized quilting option. Order one now and get a free accessory package worth over $2,400.
Purchase a new Bernina L890
or LH60
and receive all these free gifts,
such as a thread collection and sewing accessories,
serger suitcase, and the Big Book of Serging. Amazing bargains on previously owned machines while they last that come with warranties.
Starting at $399. So many other hot deals and offers. Come in and take advantage of this sale.
Dave's Bernina, 691 East St. George Boulevard and 2017 North 550 West in Provo.
Join Macy's and our nonprofit partners to help address the youth mental health crisis this school year. Now through September 14th, you can fund mental health services and resources when you donate online to the JED Foundation and the National Alliance on Mental Illness. Or round up your Macy's store purchase up to 99 cents and donate the extra change. Give back today and learn more about our mission to create brighter futures for all at Macys.com/purpose.
Any Hour Services can make sure your AC keeps you cool this summer. Whether you need a tune-up, repair, or just a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Granite Credit Union's high-yield savings certificates. Here's Ricky Meese.
Crews are clearing an earlier accident at Redwood Road and Shields Lane, and we have had definitely some lanes of travel blocked there. And we're also seeing a high volume of traffic, unusual for this time of day. We can only guess why, on a lot of the downtown surface streets. So don't be surprised to see a lot of heavier traffic anywhere from 3rd and 4th West all the way over to 7th East, and from, I'm going to say, about 200 North down to 4th and 5th South. Fill up your bucket list in Box Elder County. History, recreation, and wildlife, along with excellent dining and shopping, await you. Find out more at visitboxeldercounty.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather. Thunderstorms are possible in southern Utah today, and we could see them move up to the Wasatch Front tomorrow. Highs will stay around 90 degrees through the weekend. Right now, though, sunny and 87 degrees at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. Your all-day companion for news.
A presidential visit. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
I want to thank our friends, our colleagues at KSL 5 TV for keeping us here on the radio side looped in on what's going on. We've got our team up there as well, but this is It's so busy right now with the president's movement from downtown Salt Lake at the Hotel Monaco up to the VA Medical Center. We really have an all hands on deck approach to our coverage. And I'm just getting word that the press that's been traveling with the president has arrived at the VA Medical Center. So perhaps at any moment now, and he's scheduled at 11:15 this morning, we may see the president emerge as well there.
Debbie, you have 7 minutes for the president to start this thing. Otherwise, you don't get lunch. I bet you lunch that he would not start at 11:15.
Lindsay, tell me, Lindsay Eyre, it's our political reporter here at KSL News Radio. Tell me you've seen a sign of the president.
Well, you guys, I can tell you that it just got mighty quiet in this room because an announcement just came over the loudspeaker to welcome certain people. In fact, Mayor Mendenhall is coming to the stage right now. So I'm going to have to let you guys go, and I believe we're going to take this live. And we'll check in with you after the speeches.
Thank you, Linz. Appreciate it. Lindsay Eyre is up there live for us. Of course, we've got a whole team of producers, reporters there at the VA Medical Center from Broadcast House. Mayor Mendenhall did speak earlier today to Utah's Morning News. Talked about her exchange with the president at the base of Air Force One. She was there with Salt Lake County Mayor Jenny Wilson, also Governor Spencer Cox, First Lady Abby Cox as well. We're looking right now at there's Erin Mendenhall at the podium at the VA Medical Center. Can we take that audio live? She's standing there. Looks like she is. There we go.
He was not only the backbone of my family.
We have a little bit of a mic issue there. Let's step away while our team of technical experts in the control room try to work through the audio issues there. Do we have her back yet?
And to President Biden,
there we go.
Thank you for finally helping this country to address the needs of our brave veterans who for too long suffered with chronic illness and died from exposure to the burn pits that they were exposed to during their time of service. The PACT Act is just one of countless achievements our president has achieved in the last several years, creating over 13 million jobs, passing legislation to reduce the cost of prescription drugs, and getting inflation under control. I can't think of a more capable, a more prepared, or a better person to be fighting for us and leading our nation. Thank you, President Biden, for being here with us in Salt Lake City, and thank you for having me here today.
That was Salt Lake City Mayor Erin Mendenhall saying a few words about the president and the successes that she feels that he has shown during his presidency, saying that she feels he's gotten inflation under control and also touting the PACT Act, which he will be speaking about any moment. Now here's Governor Spencer Cox.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is a privilege to be here at this facility with all of you. We so appreciate your attendance today. Mayor, thank you for your remarks, and thank you for hosting us here in the capital city. On behalf of the 3.3 million Utahns in our great state, we welcome President Biden to the Beehive State. Anytime we get the opportunity to have a president of either party in our state, we appreciate this amazing opportunity that we have to collaborate, to work closely together, to push back on policies with which we disagree, and to find areas of common ground. And I just want to reiterate that last part a little bit. There's been some question over whether or not the governor of the state of Utah would welcome the president of a different party. I think it's insane that we are having those conversations in our country today. I so appreciate my blue state partners, governors who welcomed President Trump, and we welcome President Biden here. We honor this office